Hi everyone, welcome to State Academy number 10, State of Art Academy number 10. We're celebrating the 10th anniversary and I'm very happy to speak with Andrew Maximov from Promethean AI. So to get this started, a short introduction about yourself and we'll pick it up from there.
Of course. Well, thank you for having me. Yes, lovely to be here. My name is Andrew. I run this company called Promethean AI. We build artificial intelligence that works with artists to build virtual worlds, and it's very exciting. I've been making art for the last 15 years. I spent the last 10 years professionally in the video game space, building technology and sort of providing some technical art direction vision to video games, and it's always been a lot of fun. And as always, for me, the most important part has been the people, the artists, and the art, and actually figuring out what art is and what it means for us, because we do so many things on a day-to-day that we tend to confuse and associate ourselves with the buttons that we press every day, but only a small part of it is actually sort of valuable or meaningful to our audience. And so that's kind of been a decade-long quest for me of figuring out what art actually is. And surprisingly, it led to an artificial intelligence company. But I know that's the fun of it. I think conceptually what we're building is going to help us find out what art is, because the moment people say, I'm going to keep that, you cannot automate that, this is mine, then we know that this is inalienable, this is what they see as art for themselves. And that really excites me. I want to get to that point where we just crystallize that definition of art by removing all of the boring and unnecessary stuff out of the way.
Cool. So it will be hard to try to convey your presentation, which was quite amazing, and the potential of what can be done with Promethean kind of like helping you out. You called it assistive intelligence, yes. So let's try maybe to tell people what's the experience like working with Promethean, or what you vision it to be.
Yeah, of course, that's a good one, and also kind of a simple one, and we do that a lot. We work with a bunch of studios, and people obviously have this question for us all the time, and the closest thing you have to working with Promethean is just working with another person. Like, that's literally the entire idea. You ask it to do something, you correct it. If it doesn't do what you like, you ask it to remember the way you like it corrected, and then you just ask it to build it again. And so Promethean in itself as technology has no knowledge of anything in the world. It's sort of just this engine for learning, and then you just feed it 3D environments and you tell it what it is. And the more people do that, the more we build this aggregated knowledge of the world around us, and then everybody gets to benefit from that knowledge, and we all get to build cool things faster. And I think also a good example and sort of a good analogy is when you make movies, you never have to rebuild the world from scratch. You always have a baseline, right? You go on location and then you dress it up and you make it nice. And so what we see Promethean as being is basically this baseline location for everything in the world, where you can just ask it to build something, you get 80% there, and you actually make it your own now. You start infusing it with the value and the meaning that you see for yourself. And I think that's really cool, because it helps you find the time for the things you care about. Because something that breaks my heart, and in a lot of productions, a lot of artists around the world that I talk to, they don't get to do the things they care about. They don't get to apply meaning to the parts of the production that matters, because there's so much content to build that everyone's constantly just scrambling to get everything in there. And then at the end of the day, and I've had artists that I work with say that to me, where you only get to do your 80% because there's too much content. There's no freedom to focus on the things you think are going to create value, and we're hoping to fix that.
So Promethean, and this is something I'm trying to understand from the presentation, once you install it and start running with it, the learning part, or like the insight, does it come with it, or do you have to start train it and let it learn how it is you work, or does it come with a preset set of rules and database that you can work with from the get-go?
Yeah, it comes pre-trained. Everything it knows, you get to know, and that's the exciting part, and then you get to contribute to that. So a good example of that, or an analogy, is probably Wikipedia, right? It has all of this knowledge that everybody can leverage, and so that's what we're excited to build, because everybody can contribute. You can just say, oh, I'm really passionate about whatever, 17th century Japanese castles. I'm just going to teach Promethean to build that, and then everybody else in the world can take advantage of that if you want to. And so you just get to build the things you care about. And that's the fun part. And on the other side, Promethean works with any of the asset libraries that companies have in-house, so you can use your own assets. And so these are kind of the two steps. Promethean comes in knowing a lot about the world, but then you get to like narrow it down and specialize it on something that you do directly. And then if you have your own assets, the way we've done in the presentation, you just point it to where the assets are and you go, okay, but also learn these assets and use these assets in production, like build the spaces out of the assets that I have. So and I think it's a good sort of innovation that we brought to the table. We separated the concept of an art asset from something we call a semantic object, which is what does this this thing represents sort of conceptually, like what is a chair, how it relates to every other object in existence. And so, yeah, Promethean comes loaded with that, and then you bring your own chair to the party, basically.
Can you connect that with what we do in architectural visualization, how Promethean would be relevant? The most popular software we use is 3ds Max, so the demo was with Unreal, but how does it come to play with 3ds Max, maybe other software, and how soon, for example?
Absolutely. So Promethean is built to work with any 3D software, any engine, anything. A big part of that is with us coming from the video game space, there's a lot of very custom proprietary technology that we felt was really unfair that it wasn't being supported by any middleware. And there's a lot of great art and great artists working on that. And so our main goal is to meet artists where they are. We don't want to tell you where to work or how to work. We don't want to build an expensive, complicated machine that's going to take you 3 months to figure out how to operate. We want to do the opposite. We want to say, hey, what do you think when you build this? And then can we make this into an interface, and then can we just be where you are already so you can just work. And so yeah, Promethean is currently integrated with Maya and Unreal, and then we're literally in the middle of our 3ds Max integration. It's probably going to be done in the next week or two, and so that part is really exciting. As far as sort of it being accessible, we are in what we call our early adopter stage. So we work with different studios, and we're trying to partner up with companies where we can already today provide a substantial savings to them and a benefit, but also we're looking for partners that are interested in working with us and sharing sort of the insight into their particular industry and how they operate, how they solve problems, so we can learn from each other and sort of polish Promethean for the wider general release while creating values for teams today.
Can you tell us a little bit about the team? How big is it? What's an average day look like at Promethean office?
Sure. Well, there's no average day. We're all remote. For a while there was the 2 of us in Los Angeles, so that was fun. But no, yeah, it's, you know, we have people in London, Finland, Belarus, Chicago, you know, California, and so it's a lot of fun. We're all sort of congregate online. Something that I really appreciate is there's obviously a lot of engineering expertise on the team. Yeah, we spend time sort of debating and talking about artistic concepts a lot, like what is composition and how do we express that, but you know, learning algorithms and make sure that we can communicate that. And I think that is paramount to me personally, because I thought that it's very valuable to build a team around the problems that we're trying to solve, because so many times you see engineers so excited to engineer that they don't see the forest for the trees. They forget that there are people who are in need of help right now, who are staying at work way longer than they should be because they don't have these tools. And so we take that responsibility very, 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 very seriously, and we're putting artists first with everything we do, and we think about what is the ideal artistic pipeline is going to be, and we don't make any compromises for imperfect technology. If it's not the way the artists deserve, then we're just going to redo it 28 times until it's done.
Very inspiring. Thank you very much. And I'm sure that anyone who wants to learn more or maybe join into the early adapters program, then they can just hit you up on the website. Okay. Cool. Thank you very much. See you in the next one.